Welcome to Kaiba Health and Life. I'm your host, Kristen Wolosinovich, here with my beautiful co-host, Lisa Metropolis.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi. Hashtag Girl Squad.
Hashtag Girl Squad. Hashtag Power Up. Hashtag
Girl Crush.
Girl Crush. Everyday Girl Crush. Yes.
I'm feeling you right now.
Yeah.
So without further ado, it's our honor and privilege to have in the Kaiba Health and Life studios, to my right, Shannon Ash. Hello, darling.
Hello.
Registered nurse, also instructor at University of Michigan in Flint. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And to your right, it's no stranger to you, correct? You're both beautiful. The talented Heather Bernash, Flint attorney, powerhouse, BA, right? Heather Bernash, thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So Lisa, you've known these ladies for some time.
Yes, I have.
They are Flintstones.
Flintstones, incredible women, powerhouse women in the community. And I say that because they have themselves single-handedly with their families and with their friends, I know with me personally, have just always driven to hold people up. And you continue to do that in the community. Thank you.
Lift.
ladies.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
They're role models,
Yes.
they're mentors, and they're leaders within the community. Shannon, I'll start with you. You are an instructor at University of Michigan, born and raised here in Flint.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
live within the city as well, and you raise your kids here.
I
Yeah.
do. That is all true. That is all true.
Check all of those boxes.
Yes.
Have you always wanted to get into the healthcare field?
Always. I never knew anything other than that.
You know, that's so interesting because I come from a line of nurses as well, and that's why I have a master's in business. I knew
Yes.
right away. It's almost like it's very innate, isn't it, to know
Very
when you're
much,
going into the healthcare field. And my mom and aunt both went to become RNs, but they went into the psych field. Did you have a specialty, or was it did you know you were going to be an instructor? Tell me a little bit about your path.
All my family's in the medical field, and my mother is a nurse anesthetist. I thought that's what I wanted to do. But I found a bigger need for education. And
I love that.
as a young nurse, I always enjoyed instructing and teaching the new nurses, and I knew that's what I wanted to do.
You know, it's funny because one of my dear friends went to nursing school later in life after her kids were older. And I remember saying to her, relax during her studies. And she said to me, you mess up on the radio, you mess up. I mess up, it's a life.
Yeah.
And it's
absolutely.
so intense. Did you feel that do you feel
Still
that with
do.
these nurses, they come in with this nervous energy? How do you help ease that?
Well, they're there with me. I'm there to keep them safe and keep the patients safe. That nervous energy is not conducive to learning. So
That's right.
I try and let them know that they shouldn't make mistakes, but they can, because I am there to help them and
to help guide them.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of guided discovery. And I'm sure same with you being an attorney, you know, this is their livelihood. This is their life in your hands. Both of you really carry big shoulders. Wow. It takes a certain personality. For you, Heather Bernash, same thing, grew up in Flint.
Yes,
Raising those babies here as well.
that's right.
Did you, like your friend Shannon, know you wanted to go into the legal field?
Always. Arguing was a sport for me growing up. My parents always told me I should be a lawyer. So after getting my bachelor's and master's, I went to law school, and I haven't looked back since. I was just thinking I was in my office late at night, and it's not work if you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
Every day, right? You get out, both of you. I can see that your eyes light up when you talk about your respective fields. And really, it's about changing people's lives. And for both of you, saving lives.
Yeah.
yes.
So for you, Shannon, I'll start with you. Let's kind of get a little deeper into healthcare. Discuss some of the biggest healthcare issues you currently see. And we can start within the city of Flint and kind of grow exponentially within the state. The data does not look good for us, girl, but talk to us a little bit, because are you seeing some progression within the city and within our healthcare system?
Well,
Big
Flint,
question,
I know.
right?
How can you talk about healthcare in Flint and obviously not talk about the water crisis?
Sure.
Right, for sure.
Absolutely.
But another huge, huge issue that I see in our area and perhaps other areas I couldn't speak to. The lack of services for mental health. And
Girl, you're speaking my love language right there.
yeah, unfortunately. And then also, obviously, the use of opioids in our community. And those may also go hand in hand, those two issues, obviously a lot. So
I truly believe that. I mean, Lisa, we talk about
Yeah.
this all the time within the community, this opioid epidemic. We've had physicians, specialists, and law enforcement on the show, and we talk about that big billboard that says every citizen should carry Narcan with you. And we've asked each and every one of them, is that a call to action? Do we carry it? Or is it more about the messaging? You probably see it all the time.
see what?
The opioid, you see the
Oh,
epidemic when you are within all of these hospital systems.
When you're in an acute care setting,
Yes.
we are there to take care of people, and we don't want to see people hurting. So when somebody is hurting, you go in with the big guns, when that's
Yeah.
not necessarily always appropriate.
Right.
There are other things we can do and other things we can try as far as, complementary therapies and such. But
What about preventative? Now, for mental health, when you talk about preventative medicine, I'm a big advocate for preventative health care, have been for years. When we talk about mental health, what are some preventative cares? I mean, that's kind of are there preventative cares for mental health? Having a mental health plan before you go into something, it's kind of just a proactive approach to things, but what would you call it? How would you identify that?
that is a whole nother series we would
Yeah,
have to go
yeah.
into. But there are many different kinds of mental health issues.
Yeah.
And some of them can be maybe partially preventative.
Right.
Things, the stress-related disorders
Okay,
and
yeah.
those type of things.
So those things could possibly have some
Absolutely,
preventative
for
effects.
sure.
And I think Shannon's right. We should probably have a whole series
Yeah.
and break it down in between mental health and opioids, because I think to the mental health, having a mom when I was 5 years old started at the Odyssey House. So, and then she moved to community mental health, and it was in the 80s, and it was during a time where they had some robust programs. She speaks very highly of that decade because she was able to really see a difference. They were able to have the money and the dollars to put back. And I think you're absolutely right. Now they're in crisis mode. You cannot even call GHS, if you will, now unless they're in flat out crisis mode. And sometimes that's kind of very deep within it's too deep to pull them out sometimes. And I think it's critical that we start identifying it, because this is a good jump to you, Heather Bernash, because I'm quite sure once we start treating the mental health, you'll start seeing a difference in numbers within our legal system. Do you see the correlation?
Definitely. A lot of my clients come in with possession charges, use charges. They have mental health history, which leads to substance use, which leads to addiction, which then they're stealing, then they have theft charges, and it can happen to anybody. So many people, when I tell them I'm a criminal defense attorney, they say, "Oh, well, I don't need you. I don't plan on breaking any laws, so you can't help me." And I see addiction and
On
mental
the
health
daily.
issues happening to all any family
Right.
at any time.
Well, and I think we talk all the time. It's across race, religion, socioeconomic lines. We all have it in our families or friends. We all know someone. It does not discriminate. And to you, Shannon, a lot of it starts with the self-medicating because they don't know what's wrong with them.
Absolutely.
And it's hard. So they come to you when they're, like you said, acute care, they're in crisis. And you come in with the big guns and you treat. And a lot of times, too, with the opioid, it's the pain management.
Right. Absolutely.
And do you think, Shannon, the doctors or the big pharmacies, the big pharma foresaw when they created these meds, whether it's oxycodone or all of these, pain relief, Vicodin, do you think they foresee the opioid epidemic? Do you think they predicted this back then?
No, I don't. I personally don't. As a healthcare provider, I want to make my patients feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to
And-
relieve it.
And if you, the thought maybe at that time was to give them the most, make it go away.
Right. Right.
They didn't
Without
know.
thinking of the
There
consequence.
was because the consequence, the effect of so many pills wasn't apparent. It wasn't seeable at that time in the
I hope so.
I hope so.
I hope
yeah.
so.
But
yeah.
I think people got addicted and then they didn't know how to
How to
handle
handle
it.
it.
Then they doctor
Absolutely.
hopped.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they still it's
Because the pain
what they
still
do.
exists.
yeah.
And then the addiction was created as well. So now you're seeing massive regulations, aren't you, within the system?
Oh, absolutely. There are a lot of changes when it comes to pain control in the acute care setting.
And so when someone comes in, do they pull? It's a kind of an aggregated software, correct? Where all their information they can pull up and see if they've been prescribed an opioid.
That I do believe that is the case. I don't access that type of information.
Because you're on the instructor side. Okay, and I think we have a robust nursing program within Flint.
Yeah.
I see it, and these young men and women, and look, girl, we've got a lot of men kind of taking
We do.
over in
We
that
do.
nursing
It's very-
space.
it's very needed.
So nice to see.
It is very needed.
Yeah, it's very neat. Do you see a lot more males
Oh, absolutely.
enrolling now? Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of that also is based on need. You know,
For sure.
Yeah,
And in the education side of it, they provide a very different view that
Different view,
that
different
we needed.
perspective to
So
it.
absolutely.
Heather.
Oh, go ahead. I'm getting excited.
I know, and I wanted to say in the legislation side because you've worked extensively in the legislative field also, and so you've worked in government practices for different parts of the government before your private practice. In doing so and working in that public service. And now going into being a criminal defense attorney full time, what are some of the changes that you've seen in this healthcare field? Also, some of the regulations because there has to be some legal resources that people don't know about. Not just for healthcare though. I mean for other things. What are some of those things that you've seen and that you know?
The biggest development I've seen locally in Genesee County is all these specialty courts. Because a
them.
lot of my clients, or all of our clients,
Yeah.
come in and they have stolen something from Home Depot to go
Right.
pawn it to,
Yeah.
support their habit, and they didn't wake up in the morning thinking I'm going to go commit a crime today.
Right.
They just
Right.
needed to get their fix, and these are people that if but for the addiction, they wouldn't be committing these crimes. And so is jail necessarily, obviously you must pay a consequence if you break the law.
Sure.
But is it really fixing the problem? Is it going
Right.
to prevent that person from, as soon as they get out of jail, they still have the addiction and they still
Right.
don't know how to deal with
Right.
it.
Right.
Right.
So jail isn't necessarily, the be all and end all. So
It's
all these
getting to
specialty
the
courts
root.
have come out. We've got sobriety court, we've got veterans court, mental health court, drug court. And these are
and they don't go to
intensive
jail
programs.
with these programs, or do they? Is it like it's a time on?
They could. Every case
Okay.
is specific.
Okay.
They have a structured program, and you graduate from It's tiered, and you work your way up. And
Okay,
there's
okay.
graduation at the end, and sometimes you can earn your charges being dismissed,
Wow.
which protects your record.
Right.
Or you could earn a reduction in the charges, or you could just earn the fact that you're not going to go to jail if you jump through all the hoops
Okay.
successfully.
Okay.
Right.
And then you're walking away with all these tools and mechanisms so that you know how to handle stressful situations and challenges in life, and you don't turn back to drugs or alcohol or whatever it was that got you in trouble in the first
Wow.
place.
That's great. So there are resources in place right now, and there are things that people can pursue, information people can pursue to help them if they get in legal trouble with this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think, and do you think, and I'll ask you, Heather, do you think Genesee County and Flint has been very progressive in leading that effort to aggregate all of these courts? I mean, to make them mutually exclusive?
I believe so. Genesee County is really unique. All of our attorneys and judges, we're a family.
I
and we
agree.
all work together. I think we're it's a sense of community, and I don't know if it's just because of Flint being the way it is, but if you're from here, there's something special about Flint people that, you know, we bond together.
we
We're
have
not going
grit.
anywhere. We have grit and tenacity, and we're not much phases us.
You know, and I think you're right in terms of that collaboration within the judicial system, within Genesee County, and that includes the attorneys and the prosecuting attorneys and everyone as a whole. I think there is a message there that when you do have someone based on the case, first and foremost, it is providing the right answers for these people, especially those with affliction. And you are seeing them, whether it's mental health or the addiction, or they're single parents, struggling men or women, you know.
Right.
I think the focus does become, okay, let's assess the root problem and grow from there. I think you all collaborate very beautifully in that realm. So kudos to you. Seriously. Okay, Shannon. So back to you real quickly. So we're looking at healthcare resources. We're looking at legal resources. We're looking at this shift to kind of see now more a 50-50 women gender demographic within the nursing field. And my question to you is, what I've also seen is those men and women who've raised their kids, whether mom or dad, have stayed home, now going into the nursing field. Are you seeing an older demographic coming to you?
For sure. And it goes back and forth. It seems like of older and then younger again and then older. But I think that's fun.
I love it.
And nursing is a career that anybody can do that, and you can be anybody.
Yes.
At any time.
At any
time.
time, and you can do anything that you want.
Well, Kim Kardashian's getting her law degree.
Good for her.
How do you feel
for
about
her.
that?
I think it's fantastic.
I do
Actually,
too.
I do too.
I love it.
She's looking at helping
I
those wrongly
love it.
convicted get exonerated. And Heather, Lisa and I are kind of getting passionate about that area, which is your area of expertise.
Yep.
We've had some colleagues lately that have been exonerated after falsely being accused of
Yep.
very strong felonies. And it's just brings tears to our eyes. How important is it to you to work within the community? I mean, your community work and activism.
Is
Benchmark.
unparalleled, honestly. It
Benchmark.
really is.
What drives you?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I guess
I mean, why? Seriously.
Yeah, why? That's a good question. Just the why.
injustice really offends me.
Mm-hmm.
There should just be justice in the world. There should be equality in the world. Everybody should be treated the same, whether they go into the store to buy a car or whether they're in front of a judge being sentenced.
Right.
There shouldn't be a disparity depending on your income or the color of your skin or anything like that. So it has always really bothered me, and I see that a lot in my cases. Wondering why one person, say two different people commit the same crime, but they're perhaps charged differently, or they're sentenced differently, or they serve different sentences. And so I'm always just looking for options for my client. And I'm not trying to help people get away with committing crimes. I'm trying to protect their rights, make sure the prosecutor and the judge follows the process, and then provide different options for my client. Because some people will say, I can't be on probation. You're setting me up for failure because I know I'm gonna keep smoking pot, or I'm gonna drop dirty, and it's gonna be a violation, and then I'm going to jail.
Right.
So there's different people have different needs. Some people will say, I just need some time. Can you let me just I know I'm going to jail. Just let me get my affairs in order. I gotta,
Do
take
this
care of
and
my
that.
kids.
Right.
And I started thinking about children of the incarcerated. I recently went and toured this organization called Motherly Intercession, and they help children of the incarcerated, because there's more consequences than just putting somebody in jail.
Right.
What happens to their family that is now in crisis because
Mom or dad
they've
are
lost,
gone.
Yes, the primary caregiver, the
Or
breadwinner.
the breadwinner. Right.
And these children and it falls back to another family member, a grandparent that might not be in the best position to be able to help them. So,
Right.
this organization makes sure they, are doing their homework and going to school and getting a meal, getting transportation.
So what you're saying is there are tremendous legal resources and lots of information out there. How could people get a hold of you, Heather Bernash, or just go online and find maybe a website that would be a great resource if they're going through struggle?
Sure. Well, my office number is 545-8611.
That's 810
810
545
8611.
8611 Heather Bernash, and your office is located downtown Flint, but you're an amazing attorney. And one thing too I wanted to ask, people question, how can you defend? How can you do this? Do you get that often sometimes?
I do. And I represent guilty people, and every once in a while I represent somebody that's innocent, that's innocent of what they're accused of.
Right.
And it's because of that, would you want the government to be able to just
Throw you
barge
in
into
jail,
your house and throw you in jail without due process? So I'm doing it not just for the client that's in front of me, but for all of us.
Really everyone.
Protecting, those constitutional rights for the person in front of me protects that process for all of us.
That's right. That's right. You educate, and that's one thing too, people don't know. You are a subject matter expert in the law. Many don't know their own rights across the board. So really it's an educational tool as well.
And a lot of times people don't, just because they committed a crime doesn't define their whole life.
Who they are.
It's one bad act that they did. We've all done
Yeah.
bad things, good things. We're human. We make mistakes.
Right.
And should one bad act define you? There are certainly things that there are consequences for, and you have to pay for them. But everybody has redeeming qualities.
That's exactly
and
right.
We shouldn't give up on somebody just because they
And
screwed up.
oftentimes they go through this and they emerge bigger, better, stronger, and it's just a bad chapter and get through it. And oftentimes some of the struggle is not a bad thing. So I talk about, Heather, you get that question, how can you defend everyone? Shannon, how can you save everyone?
Gosh, I would love to.
Look at these two. Look at these two, Lisa Metropolis. No wonder I can see it, the light, love, and energy, but the healthcare and the legal system and that girl power and that strength. And, it's not only balancing the career, because they're both extremely demanding careers. It's balancing the family. Is it all possible, Shannon? Can we do it all? Tell me.
We try.
We do try.
We do try.
We do try.
And you know what? Are my dishes not done all the time?
No.
Yeah, no. And my laundry's not always done, but
It's okay.
I do what I think is important.
Right.
and
You heard it here first.
It's priorities. I saw something the other day. It's like we women enter the workforce as if we, expected as if we don't have children at home. And then we come home expected to not have a full-time job as well. And we're balancing this.
Yeah.
And it is a struggle, but I think we're seeing this massive shift. Whether fathers are staying home, women are going to work. Like you said, we now are seeing men coming into these fields that were primarily, women-based. You're seeing this big kind of paradigm shift, especially with the millennials. I mean, we've got a whole new
I love the millennials.
new environment going on, and I think strong women are so important. And it's a balancing act, isn't it, Lisa? We giggle. We have to giggle all the time because
you don't laugh, you'll cry. Right?
Absolutely, because our kids are facing a lot more than even what we face. So it's a balancing act, but I do think with the big heart we have in between us and the leadership and the light and the love, we can't go wrong, especially here in Flint. Thank you both. So Shannon, real quickly, how can people get a hold of you for the nursing program at U of M? How would you recommend if I'm coming out of whether it's high school or I'm, aged out, or I took some time off of college, or hey, I raised my kids and I want to go into nursing school.
Do you mentor also? Do you mentor? Do you have? Do you do that
officially? There is a nursing advisor.
Perfect.
Or there are at the University of Michigan Flint. 810-762-3420.
One more time.
810-762-3420.
And that's University of Michigan Flint.
That's the nursing
amazing
department.
Nursing program.
Right. But I'm
Phenomenal.
super happy to talk to anybody who has any
questions.
questions about anything. I'm on Facebook.
Excellent.
Shannon Strassel Ash. And I talk to people about it all the time.
Right.
And,
You love it.
I do.
Okay, I'm gonna look at you. Could you put an IV in? Do you think? I think you could, Heather Bernash.
She probably could.
I've witnessed a lot of them recently in the last few years, so
Right.
I could probably try, but I don't know.
You would. You're not trying on me. I had a nurse.
You can
I
try
was
that
going
on.
in
I'll
for
leave it to be
gallbladder
professional.
surgery, and I did have a new nurse. And I
Oh dear.
he said, I need someone else. He tried, but it's okay. They got it. He got it. But I will tell you, and that's the part of the learning curve.
For sure.
And it's okay. It's okay. It's going to be great. Heather Bernash, what can we look for? You know, you've got a lot coming up, girl. What can we look for from Heather Bernash in the next 5 to 6 months? We're seeing you everywhere. You're at a lot of events. You're doing a lot of great things, and we're very super proud of you. So thank you for both of you for leading our community.
Thank you.
Just seeing you around.
I've been really busy. I guess I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I had free time.
Right. Right.
I schedule my days beyond what I can possibly humanly do. But I'm on the Historic District Commission for City of Flint. I sit
that's great.
on several different boards, and my kids are older where, I can go and volunteer my time, and they would rather be with their friends at this point,
Right.
The birdies are out the nest a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We get it. So now we're looking at some new chapters.
So I'm keeping busy.
Exciting.
Possibly getting back into politics. I was in politics before ever being a lawyer.
So you're sitting next to your best friend. These are the political gurus
Yeah.
that we turn to often, the passion behind the politics. I mean, you two, your eyes light up and you get very fiery, and you're very strong in your convictions, and I respect that, and I really admire it both. It's politics, especially in this current environment. Wow, who would have predicted where we are now? But it's very interesting. All right, Shannon Ash, thank you beyond words for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, the healthcare community. Thank you for being an advocate. We will continue to scream for the advocacy of mental health and to help those who are suffering from the opioid crisis. It's a massive epidemic, and we will find answers, and we will eradicate it. I'm very confident of that. So thank you for your service and your fellowship, but most importantly, your big heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather Bernash, thank you. I've got my defense attorney on speed dial. Thank you so much. Thank you for leading. Thank you for educating, continuing to pave the way for women in the legal services. Thank you beyond words. Thank you for not being deterred. Thank you for the grit. And we look forward to see what is more to come in the future for Heather Bernash. Lisa Metropolis, anything you want to add? Big thank you.
Same thing. I just want to say thank you, and also I know that for both of you, your time that you give in the community, you give more and in your homes, and you're raising incredible children.
Yes. So
Thank you.
true epitome of leadership and
Yes,
role models.
absolutely.
All right. On behalf of Lisa Metropolis, and I'm Kristen Wolosinovich, this has been Kaiba Health and Life.